Thanks, listeners, for joining us. Today's edition of Elko Live here on KELK will feature a solo show with our Elko County Sheriff. It's good to see you, Aitor.
Thanks for having me, Laura.
Yeah, appreciate it. Sheriff Aitor Narvaiza is in studio. We reserve these Thursdays for our local law enforcement update, and I suspect that Chief Tyler Trouton will probably be here, and he'll be here next Thursday, and he'll have, because sometimes these long months we have a little confusion about who's on when, right?
Yeah.
So it's great. It's all good.
My wingman left me today, so we'll get through this.
You will absolutely get through this. In fact,
get through it.
we were kind of looking over a list of things, and there's actually a lot going on that we can cover today with the Elko County Sheriff. In fact, the latest is, since the last time we talked, what's known as the American Civil Liberties Union. It's the ACLU for short. It's been it's a nonprofit agency in operation for decades, and just sort of balancing out the public interest and that of government. And they actually filed a lawsuit against the county, but you kind of pulled things together. This had to do with whether or not the procedures were being followed to allow inmates to vote in jail, right, Sheriff?
That is correct. I'll give you a quick rundown on that. What happened was they had filed the FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act. We replied to it. We replied asking them the specifics on what they wanted. And then their next email went to the city of Elko, not to the sheriff's department. And then, so it sat at the city for some time. And then when they realized what it was, they sent it to the county. And the county realized what it was. And then they sent it to the district attorney's office. And he looked at it and went, oh, this needs to go. By the time we got it, we were already over our 5-day response. So I think they took that as we weren't complying with it. But, and then after I spoke to you and then you called her, I think they realized they made a mistake too. And we managed to work everything out, and they actually withdrew their lawsuit.
And that's good to hear, Sheriff.
That's very good. Any lawsuit that gets withdrawn is pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. I know, as you said, when I spoke to the attorney who filed the suit, on behalf of ACLU, and she agreed. She said, yeah, it sounds like we should have a conversation. She was open to that, and I'm pleased that it resulted in that, Sheriff, because again, the whole premise was they just wanted to make sure that the new law was being followed. And we should explain that, Sheriff. Some people were saying, inmates, why would inmates get to vote? Well, remember, they're not necessarily convicted.
They're not all convicted felons.
Right.
So they did pass a law starting in July last year that they had the right to vote. So as the administrator of the jail here in Elko County, if those individuals who are incarcerated want to vote, they have that right. So we have it on the tablets, the iPads, and then we also have it in the rule book. And if they want to vote, and then Lieutenant Perry is the registrar of so it's her duty once they vote to sign them up to vote. And then of course it goes to the clerk's office, and then they have to, and even if the individual is from a different county, we still have to do that. So we have a male subject who's incarcerated in our facility, and he belongs to Washoe. He wants to vote. We still have to sign him up, and then we have to sign the paperwork to Washoe, and then it comes back. So it's quite the process, but, we went well. We did a great job. Lieutenant Perry did a great job, and Justin with the policies, and we got everything worked out. We're good to go.
All right. So, yes, there will be voting. And again, that lawsuit was pulled, and that's always good, like you said. Always good when you can avoid a suit.
We talked about it earlier. We have to go with the mail-in ballots, or the person, as an individual, you have the right to put in a vote in person or a ballot, right? So we have made arrangements with the clerk's office. If we do have inmates that want to vote, they will open up the poll to us earlier than the normal people. So we can get if the inmates do want to vote, we can take the inmates to the convention center, and we can take them back to the facility. What I didn't realize is if we bring a machine down to the jail, then it becomes a polling place, correct? I didn't know that. So we're set up with the clerk's office for that as well. So it turned out great. We've learned good things on both parts.
Good. And the sheriff's office, the department was never reluctant to enforce the new law. That's the most important point. It was just a matter of communicating the policies that were already in place.
We did. We had filed the paperwork with the county, the clerk's office, and the state of Nevada. And so we thought we did a pretty good job. And then the ACLU came down and we tweaked some things in the policy. And there were some questions that they wanted us to do, but we couldn't do them because we're elected official. The sheriff's department is an elected official. So we took some stuff out, put some stuff in, and we got it worked out. And they were very professional to work with.
Well, that's good to hear, Sheriff. And again, the sheriff is not going to go back into the cells and say, "Hey, it's time to vote," because the sheriff cannot do that.
I cannot do that by statute.
Yes.
Whether you feel intimidated or if I go back to the cell and, "Hey, Lord, you want to vote?" And like, "Hey, well, maybe if I vote for this guy, I'll get out 2-3 days early," right? It don't work that way. So as a sheriff, I can't go back to the inmates or the deputies because they work for me. I can't have them go back there and say, "Hey, you need to vote."
Sheriff Aitor Narvaiza, our guest today. So checking that one off the list. And then, we might as well, since we're talking about the jail, Aitor, this is pretty big news. Tell us about the Budget Committee and their approval of some expansion plans.
We met with the Budget Committee yesterday at around 1 o'clock. And we've been talking about a new facility for mental health and stuff. So they approved the $25,000 for a business to come. They're from back east. They're going to draw up the plans for it's just going to be a mental health. We'll have the whole nurses stations and all the mental health persons in one area, which probably be a 2-tier. We'll have them upstairs and downstairs. Because right now we have the nurses that are going from cell to cell to cell to cell to cell, checking on them. So we'll have them in one facility, along with the nurses in that same facility, and we could do it all in one place.
And Sheriff, that has to feel good because I know your department has been advocating for this, a separate behavioral health unit within the Elko County Jail. This is the last pod available in your footprint, right?
That's correct. Once we move this pod out, there's no more room back there. They'll either have to build a new facility or maybe where we park our patrol cars in the impound yards, so we have that, but that'll be down the road.
Yeah. So right now, our facilities, you have on average fewer than 200 inmates. Used to be about 200 inmates.
Yeah, we were running over 200 there for a while, and now we run anywhere from 150 to 160. And then there's times you come in on a weekend and you get 45 people, 40 people get arrested. So you'd be back up to 190. But when we got a Memorial Day coming in, we got 4-day weekends, so those numbers could jump up and they'll come back down.
And something to keep in mind, too, that even though rates of incarceration may have changed, that's a reflection not of patrolling officers, or it has more to do with the laws that now we don't keep people in jail. We don't require them to post the bail that we used to do.
No, that's the Valdez and Minutes hearings. Individuals go in front of the judge. And so basically what happens, if you commit a crime, the district attorney's office and the public defender's office and a judge, and they sit and they argue if this guy's bail should stay or should be higher or should be lowered, or if this guy should be released. So between the judge, the DA, and the public defender, they come to an agreement, and if the subject is released, then he's released given a court date. And then there's some where they've actually raised the bail on him, and then there's some where they've lowered the bail on him. So it's a two-way street, We win sometimes, they win sometimes, so we manage.
So again, maybe people that are facing less serious offenses are released from jail earlier. They may be taken into custody but booked and released, for example.
Correct.
Okay. So at least that does, there's less impact on, housing all those inmates and that kind of thing.
Right now we've talked about it in the past. We have people that are taking up 2-man cell or 2 individual cells because they're got mental issues, and so we've lost space because instead of a 24-man block, or now you're only down to 12 blocks. So we lose space, but because we can't house them with other inmates. So that'll be with this new facility. It should help us out.
And Sheriff, it's also an observation that we see more female inmates, don't we?
Yeah, it's funny you said that because we were just talking about that the other day. When I first started back in the 90s, we had 5, 6, 7 girls in there, women, and you were like, my God, that's a lot. And now there's 35, 40, so...
I noticed that too, reflected in the booking sheet. So, and it's not unique to Elko, obviously.
No, it's just, you go to these other facilities, Las Vegas, they're housing 3,600 inmates. Washington's like 1,200. They're actually short right now because they can house like 1,500, so they're like 1,200. And a lot of them are inmates, women inmates, just the same.
And as we were talking about, a lot of the underlying issues have to do with addiction, mental health issues.
Yeah, it is. A lot of people that come in there are under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and it takes a while for them to come down. It's not like it used to be in the old days where they would sit in holding for a day or two. Now they're in there 5, 6 days. And they can't see the judge because they're not ready to see them. Their body hasn't come down and is still under the influence. So.
Yeah, and that's where, again, just reverting back to the topic of discussion, the Budget Committee for Elko County Commissioners approved $25,000 for plans to build, to expand the jail. You're looking at how many more cells are you looking at creating with this? It'll have nursing stations. It's going to be specific to behavioral health.
That was a question Delmo asked yesterday. At this time, we're going to see what the plans. I would say, personally, I would like to at least see 50, but it could be lower. Because again, you can't. There'd be one person cell. So I would say 30 to 50 would be probably a good number to keep back there. But we haven't confirmed that yet.
And we do know that, as we talked about, the footprint is there, so there is some infrastructure. So what might the cost of the expansion be, do you think, Sheriff?
We've had conversation, because all they have to do, the infrastructure's already there. So all they have to do is knock out that wall, build a facility and the beds and the bunks. I would say at least $5 to $7 million, or it could be more. I don't really know, but I would say at least $5 to $7 million. That could be a low number, could be higher, but I think $7 million is probably a good number.
And we do know that we have contractors locally who are capable of this kind of work.
Well, the individuals, I don't believe we have any contractors that are capable of building the plans for the jail.
Not for the jail. You're right.
Right, for the jail.
I'm sorry, for the plans.
Right. Yeah,
okay.
The plans went back east because we met with a company. That's all they do is build jail facilities throughout the nation. That's all they do. That's their specialty. Once we get that back, then we'll put it out to bid. And there's a lot of people in Elko that could do the job.
Yeah, I think the most recent expansion was done by Ormaza, if I recall.
Right. We had all the local people. Ormaza did it, and they did a good job. So once we get the plans back, they'll put it out for bid. And that's beyond my pay grade. That's a county deal, and they'll decide who gets that bid.
All right. And then, of course, as we go along, and it's interesting that we're having this discussion now because, poor Elko County is trying to meet all these needs, right, Sheriff? I mean, a justice complex, I was not aware until fairly recently, and maybe you were, but that some people who work in the justice court in that basement area, they get the justice court flu. I guess they get sick. There's not good circulation there.
Oh, I didn't know about that. I never heard about that. I don't know if they get sick. It could be, but Yeah. I know they want a new facility, but I didn't know if they called it the justice flu. I had no clue.
I think it's in that basement area primarily. Yeah,
it's an old facility. It probably needs updated, but.
So you're squeezing in with all their needs too, because.
Yeah, you got obviously the jail expansion coming up. There's. The judges want a new facility, you got the Boys and Girls Club. So there's a lot of money out there, and everybody wants it, and that's what they do. You budget, and if there's money left, you go back and say, hey, I know you got a little bit left, so can I have this? So, but yeah, there's working on a lot of infrastructure.
We do know that since the county now steers the property tax primarily, there's about $5 million generated annually as a result, money that used to go into school district, I think, pay as you go, give or take a few million here or there. And we know the cities, municipalities have also carved out money that they need for their expenses as well, Sheriff. Right. So the jail expansion will likely come out of that $5 million annual that's generated?
Probably.
Okay. But not ARPA money or...
No, no. It's all. I believe it's already. I think they already have the money just sitting there, and it's something that we need. It's not like we need. We're not asking for a lot. We're asking for a facility to help mental people, the nurses stations, the deputies.
And it's been a safety issue too, because we know there's fighting and employees are being injured too.
Yeah, we've had inmates break windows, crawl out of windows, have shanks. We've had to send people in there to go get them, the response team to go get them, and it's just business every day. Believe it or not, it's just part of doing business. So that behavioral health 2-story building, $5 to $7 million, that should help alleviate. Things could get rolling in the next couple of years, do you think, Sheriff? Are you looking at it? I believe the way we've been talking, I was hoping they would start breaking ground by next summer. Makes sense. Yeah, once they get the plans, once they get the plans and the contractors picked out, and then once they figure out a court date, and they'd have to build the infrastructure on the outside and then tear that wall down and then tie it all in together. And that's been done before. So, yep. All right. So that would actually build out the existing footprint of the Elko County Jail, which I guess is coming up on 30 years old, 25, something like that. No, it's got to be longer than that because I've been in the department since '94. Oh, boy. Okay. And it was there, so it's got to be 30 years, probably 30, 35, 33 years. We could ask Neil Harris. He'll know the exact date. Yes. Yeah. Imagine that. We never thought that it would get built out completely, but here we are. So since I've been with the Sheriff's Department, this will actually be the third time it's been rebuilt. Yep, expansion. Expanded 3 times. Talking with our Elko County Sheriff, Aitor Narvaiza, today. So that's kind of big news today again. It didn't come up during the County Commission Candidate Forum last night, Sheriff, which I was going to tell you about because it got a little spicy there. Did you hear about that? It did. Or were you there? I didn't see you, but... it was kind of spicy. Certain individuals, Does that concern you? I mean, from a law enforcement standpoint, or you didn't have uniformed people there, but there were people there. Yeah, there was plenty of law enforcement people that were off duty and stuff watching it. It did get heated a couple of times, and it's part of politics, but it shouldn't be like that when you're at a farm, and you just need to argue the facts on why you're running and what your intentions are, and it wasn't even a debate. No, it shouldn't get like it did, but Yeah, but Commissioner Staniger held his own, He did very good. I was surprised. 'Cause I would have probably handled it differently, but that's just me. I give Staniger kudos for... keeping it cool. Keeping the peace. Yeah. Just so listeners are aware, and I think the Elko Chamber, they hosted the candidate forum. So the plans were to have it up on their YouTube site. I was recording, but my recording, the quality is not nearly as good as I think that the Chambers will be. They were able to patch right into the system. So it should be on the Chamber website if you want to hear. Toward the end, county commissioners, there are 2 seeking. Rex is the incumbent, Rex Staniger, and then his challenger calls himself. Chris Mullins. He's the guy that uses the sign at the intersection. He's the guy you see on the intersections and Mount City or the high school or the commissioners waving the sign. And he called incumbent Commissioner Staniger an unkind name. Yeah. Yes. So, and like I said, it got a little heated there for a minute. Started with A, ended with E, right? Yes. Yes. Spelling test. Yeah, but I like I said, I give Commissioner Staniger kudos for holding his peace, and then when he took his phone out, started videotaping him right on the spot. When you're only Can you hand me a napkin, please?
Oh, of course. Yeah, you're
When
you're
you're,
literally feet away. Yeah,
when
just
you're,
like 2 feet away,
when
3
you're-
feet away. You're not even that, you know.
You're sitting next to each other.
Yeah, that was.
And then the video comes out. I give him kudos, and Rex is a hell of a guy. He does a good job for the county.
So yeah, that was unfortunate to see that come to that kind of a tense moment. And anytime you see something on the, we're sitting in the audience, and another candidate appears to be constantly looking over the other one's shoulder, trying to read their notes, just kind of intimidate, that kind of thing. It's yeah, I guess all is fair, right?
I did it my first time I did it. I got to admit, I was scared. That was the first time you get in front of the public. They're asking questions. You have no idea what questions are coming at you. And you know the answers. You know how to answer, but you get all tongue-tied. And, like my first one, I was terrified. And now it's just like, hey.
And that's why we do this radio show, Sheriff, because you're not seeking to hide something. I mean,
No.
if there's any fault, it's me not asking the question or the right question. So I appreciate
I'm pretty old school. I tell you what you want to know, and
whether or not it's what you want to hear.
Whether it's good or bad, and you don't like it, if you ask me something, I'm gonna tell you. If you don't want to know the answer, you probably shouldn't ask. That's just me. But that's so right.
Right. So. In your second, you're not running. That's the other thing, too, where you're not on the ballot this time. We can speak.
I'm good till 2026.
All right. And then you can make some decisions.
Yeah, I plan on running again back in 2026.
You're having that much fun.
It's funny you mention that, because even if I wasn't the sheriff, I'd still be out on patrol. I'd still be out bouncing around the hills, Jarbidge, Midas. I just like my job, just like the people. I like everything about my job, I see a lot of people retire and then go pick up another job. It's like, why am I going to retire and then go get another job when I like my job? Well, I'm pretty fortunate. I really like it. I really do.
Oh, thank you.
People say I'm crazy, but it's like, I like it.
Well, and you have a good family because they support you in it, too. Yes, absolutely. Not that other folks don't have great families, too, but yeah, that would take a lot of support to continue in law enforcement, as you said, over 30 years.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
So I really do like my people, the people of Elko County and everybody else. It's been a great career. I never once looked back.
Talking with Sheriff Aitor Narvaiza, we could talk more about that, but we'll have to wait till 2026, right? Since
That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
Yes. So back to what's going on today, and then again, just the civility in politics. We just wanted to remind people that we've still got several months of this to go. So this primary will weed out some of the other folks.
Correct.
So yeah, this election is really important. Early voting starts May 25th.
Well, all elections are pretty important.
Absolutely.
People need to get out and vote for their candidates. And pick the guy who you feel is going to do the best job.
Or the gal, yeah.
That's all there is to it.
And sometimes people don't participate in primaries thinking, I'll just catch up in the November. But some of these races will be decided.
It will. You go back to my election, I had 4 people running against me, and we ended up in the one in the primary, right? And if you don't vote in that primary, you could say, well, I'll vote next time. So you should probably be voting the primaries and pick the top 2. Or if you get that 51%, like I was fortunate enough to get, it ends it. So you got to get people to go out and vote.
And that's important to note, too, that 51%, because, John Carpenter is now passed away, but our former lawmaker, Assemblyman Carpenter, he signed off on that legislation that, now going forward, if a candidate gets more than 50%, 51% of the vote in the primary, and that there's no challenger from the opposing party.
Correct.
And we're predominantly Republican in Elko County, so that's really sets that contest up. But you and Delmo Andriozzi are the most popular people in Elko County, according to voters. So
Delmo is good people.
You've done that. You guys have each done that, got more than 51% in the primary.
Delmo's great people. Delmo knows business. He knows politics. He knows county policies.
He came up after the candidate forum last night. He was upset about the way. He was just he was just disappointed. He just didn't feel like it should get to that point. And people
unfortunately,
argue.
it does.
Yeah.
Whether you do it live or you do it on Facebook. It shouldn't get like that, you know. I remember a long, long time ago, probably 30 years ago, when Fred Zaga, remember Fred?
Yes.
I had a conversation when Neil was running, and he just told me, keep it to the facts and why you're running and what you are willing to change. He said, nobody else wants to hear all the other crap, right? So that's what you got to do. Mm-hmm. Keep the facts and run on your own merit and go from there.
And I think Commissioner Andriozzi, he talked a little bit about that too after he just said, you know, that Elko County usually, we like to believe Elko County usually does the right thing, right, in spite of all the negativity. And sometimes there can be some spoilers, you know, that happen. So that's, again, why we're just telling people listening, make sure you vote. Make sure you vote.
Voting is very important.
Don't sit this out, because there are some people very passionate about their causes, right, and that could change the entire trajectory of Elko County.
You know, I ran for sheriff because of my dad. My dad, I would go and I wasn't happy with policy or whatever. Yeah. He finally just said, well, quit whining about it. Why don't you go run for sheriff? Right? If you want change, you got to do change.
And you have an undersheriff that's very good at policy, Aitor,
Justin,
because...
you know, when I stole him from the Highway Patrol, he's been solid, you know. When it comes to policy, anything in the department, buying stuff, budgeting, he's solid. You know, I tell him all the time, he's a computer nerd back there.
I was going to say, and Aitor and I have known a long time, he kind of is, you've got the personality or the out front guy, and he's back there crunching all the stuff. So,
and I'll be honest with you, every sheriff in any state, the undersheriff's what's got to make them. And there's no, you know, Neil, I had Claire, you know, I got Justin, and the undersheriff's the one doing all the work, you know. I tell Justin, just kiddingly, I said, you know, I tell him, you're just a computer guy. I said, but I'm the pretty boy in the department, right? But Justin works, he puts in some hours, him and Lieutenant Fisher and Perry and Armina puts in, you know, it takes not just one individual, it takes a lot of people to run that place. So I'm just one guy. I can't do it without the staff.
I am sure they appreciate you saying that. Thank you, Aitor. Yeah. I'm always happy too. I try to remind people all the time. It's even though you're the one on the radio, you're supported by legions of people. You know, so
I mean, the paperwork that goes through that office. You know, Rachel Magnanini, and she came on board this year, and lieutenants and the sergeants, and they're the ones that keep that whole place running. You know, you got sergeants keeping 200 inmates, 150 inmates in line, and you know, you got transports to the courts, you got transports out of state, you got transports to the dentist. They're the ones making it happen.
And speaking of, you got some new hires.
Yeah, we got some new hires. We got some in the background. We just picked one up the other day, started Monday. And we're just waiting on some fingerprints to come back, and then we can move forward with possibly 3 or 4. Okay,
and those will be patrol?
Jail and patrol.
Okay.
No, they'll fill in the jail patrol, because we pulled some from the jail for patrol. So the new ones will be going to patrol.
Okay.
To the jail, I'm sorry.
To the jail, okay. And then also on our list today, we want to make sure that we remind everybody, because Cops and Burgers is a huge event. It's the memorial, the annual Carl Cox Memorial Cops and Burgers to benefit Special Olympics.
Good old Carl.
Yeah.
That's coming on June 12th. So go ahead and call or meet at our office, you know, and place your order. And then we get the law enforcement guys like myself and Chief Trouton, and we'll deliver all the food around town, you know.
You can have hamburgers, hot dogs, or chorizos, chips, and a drink, and it's just a $6 donation. Usually people just kind of throw a $10 bill at it because it's for a great cause. The food gets donated so that all the proceeds can benefit the athletes with Special Olympics.
You know, all the money we do keep locally, so it benefits all our athletes, and we have a couple of fundraisers a year, and you know, we got track and field coming up for the athletes this summer, so we take that money and help the athletes, and then when they travel, we use that money for buses, motel rooms. We pay for all that, so it's a good cause.
So you can be there in person if you want to join your friends. It'll be in the Sheriff's Office parking lot there on Silver Street from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on June 12th. We'll keep reminding everybody of the date, Sheriff. But again, place orders in advance if you want to have, a delivery to the office. So,
we deliver. Some of them crazy. Some of them even get like 30, 35 orders. It's like, and then you got to go home and then you got to clean out your car because it smells like hamburgers, hot dogs.
And chorizos, yeah. And, so we'll keep reminding everybody of that. Thank you, Sheriff, again, for continuing that. That's a really special tradition for Elko County.
No, that's a good one.
Carl was, as you said, was a great guy. And, I'm so fortunate that I get to be part of this community and think back on all the people that have made such a wonderful difference. And some of them are no longer with us.
Some of them passed away, and, it's...
But we have their work to do.
Yeah,
we're going to keep doing it. So with that in mind, I guess the last thing that we have on our list is just to go out and have a safe summer, right? We're on the doorstep.
Yeah, finally getting some weather. I mean, Memorial Day, you never know about Memorial Day. It's always either windy, raining, snowing, or something, and the weather's supposed to be nice. So, you got a 4-day weekend, so enjoy it. Have a good time.
Graduation.
Yeah, you got graduations coming up next week. So it's going to be a busy couple of weeks for everybody. You got a lot of family coming in. Got law enforcement has to cover all the graduations through Elko County, city, county, Spring Creek, Wells. So we'll all be busy. So just enjoy and be safe.
Thanks, Sheriff. And anything else we didn't get to talk to you about? I appreciate your time today.
No, nothing. Thanks for having us. We've been neighborlies for 30 years.
I know, it's great.
It's a great time.
I appreciate it. Thank you. The first thing I said to the sheriff when he walked in is, we're not going to talk about it on the air, but do we need a speed bump on our hill? But he was on the job. He said, I've already clocked it. I've checked. I've done some radar, and it's an old tree street, and people park, and it looks narrow, and we just need to put out more sidewalks, Sammy.
It's like, your kid and my kids grew up together, and when they were little, they had the little green guys with the little flags on them. We put them all over the neighborhood, and it's probably something that should be done again.
We're going to do it some more.
Like you said about the speeding, you got vehicles on both sides. It's a narrow street, and they're going 25, 28 miles an hour. So it seems fast, but it's really not that fast. I think it's just because of the closeness of the street. It looks.
Thank you, Sheriff, and I'm glad we could talk about it. Like I said, we weren't going to talk about that on the air, but it is an important reminder. We live somewhere. We all live, hopefully, in neighborhoods. We have pets and our parents and people that are dear to us and little kids. And so, just try to think about that when you're motoring through.
Look around.
Yeah, slow down.
Because, kids just come out of sidewalks,
And so do people's pets. Yeah, keep it safe. Yeah.
Keep us safe.
All right. Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, and appreciate listeners for joining us for Elko Live today here on KELK.